Hello everyone and welcome to this session. My name is Kingsley, but everyone calls me Dr. King, and I'll be speaking about entrepreneurial leadership. But before I start, a quick introduction about myself. I teach entrepreneurship and innovation within the business school at Edinburgh Napier University. Proud to return into the academia. I used to work in banking and financial services. I worked for a period of 10 years across 4 different international banks, focused on commercial banking, retail, and private banking. Prior to that, which I still am, I started my business 25 years ago. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm focused on retail, and I think that's all about me, and I enjoy what I do. So I think the question you would probably have at the back of your mind is, what does it mean to be an entrepreneurial leader? And the truth is, if you look across extant studies and literature and articles online, what you tend to get is that entrepreneurial leadership is quite an emergent theme in leadership. But the communal concept or communal themes that actually emerge from the definitions of entrepreneurial leadership speaks about the ability of a leader to organize a group of people towards achieving a communal goal. Now, entrepreneurial leadership is quite unique in its own element, as it uses proactive entrepreneurial behavior to take advantage of opportunities and take responsibilities by managing situations within a dynamic environment. Now, such leadership style in its own form is quite unique, because what the entrepreneurial leadership does is leverage on the potentials of his subordinates or his team to create value for that organization. So I think in a nutshell, entrepreneurial leadership are able to employ unique leadership styles or practices that develop the ability of the employees to self-generate, self-reflect, and self-correct practices within their workplace. Now, through my years interacting with my students, working in banking and financial services, being an entrepreneur myself, I think it has become clear to me that entrepreneurial leadership is about applying that entrepreneurial mindset on how you lead. This implies that to be an entrepreneurial leader, you must be able to mobilize and motivate others within the workplace. And it's like having any other competency in any job which you do, but you must be able to build the required competencies, motivate people towards that desire for change. But at the end, there must be that underlying commitment to practice. So think of leadership as an ice cube. It could be pretty well formed from the onset, but after a while, maybe due to exposure to heat, it starts to melt just a bit, then adopts a new form. So that's how leadership is, right? After a while, leadership has to change. It has to adopt new behaviors, has to build new instincts in taking a new form. So I think in a nutshell, that's what entrepreneurial leadership is. But another question is, why do we actually need entrepreneurial leadership? Well, I think we need entrepreneurial leadership because we are in trying times. The world is changing around us. Boundaries are being pushed every day, and breakthroughs are becoming more common than ever. And there are actually challenges every day. So we need that entrepreneurial approach, that innovation, that forward-thinking mindset, which are actually embodied within the theme of entrepreneurial leadership to keep on thriving, to keep on going. Now, I think I've got a few tips around entrepreneurial leadership and having that entrepreneurial mindset. I think these are articulated under 3 or 4 or 5 approaches or steps. So I'll quickly run through them so that you can have an idea of what to keep in mind when you think about entrepreneurial leadership. So I think the first step I would recommend is identifying a gap and identifying an opportunity. Within the mindset of an entrepreneurial leader, you must be observant of your context. You must be observant of your surrounding. You've got to talk to people. You've got to read between the lines, right? You've got to think outside of the box. You must have heard that terminology before. Think outside of the box. to be an entrepreneurial leader, you must be a keen observer, right? You should be able to see what others don't see. Be able to spot opportunities, identify opportunities. I remember when I used to be young, I come from a very poor home, so it was difficult growing up, right? And I couldn't actually go to school because I wanted to go to school, but my family, we didn't have the resources to send me to school. But I realized I had a flair for fashion, I liked fashion, and I realized I could do something around fashion. So what did I do? I was able to spot an opportunity. I realized within my context there in Lagos, in Nigeria, where I grew up, people love to wear the African outfits, right? The traditional Nigerian outfits, right? But there were only a few tailors at that time that were actually making African Nigerian outfits within my context, within my area. But I realized I had a flair for British fashion. I kind of understood fashion from my own perspective, and I realized I could blend aspects of the British fashion to the Nigerian style and bring up something new. And that's how I came up with my So brand. And I was able to tap into that opportunity and create value for myself and my family. But the unique aspect was that I was able to think out of this box. I was able to spot the opportunity, read between the lines, and create value. Now, another aspect of that entrepreneurial mindset is that willingness to learn, right? Remember, you don't know it all, right? You might think you have a particular expertise in a particular field, but what you tend to get is that there are actually people that actually know it better than you, right? Sometimes I work with my students and I realize that my students actually even are more knowledgeable than me in some areas, right? I've worked with them, and what I've come to realize that the best teachers should be the best learners, because the more you develop that learning mentality, right, the better you stay open at hearing new ideas, accepting contrary or differing points, which would actually aim at arriving at improved decisions. So for me, within the context of my entrepreneurial drive, within my entrepreneurial mindset, I had that willingness to learn. I wanted to learn, what was the T.M. Lewins of the UK doing? What was the Thomas Pink of the UK doing? What could I do differently? How could I learn and apply that learning to arrive at an improved decision? Now, another tip again, I would say is start with whatever you have. Don't wait for any particular funding. Oh, I'm waiting for the Scottish government to give me £1 million. I'm waiting for a grant from the Prince's Trust to start up my business. Sometimes it doesn't really work that way, right? My advice is, if you can't start with the small resources you have at hand, then it will be difficult for you to actually work even with £1 million grant that you would have, right? So start with whatever you have, right? Start with whatever small resources you have. It's amazing what you can actually do with what you have. I started my business with virtually nothing. I had no money, nothing. There was no funding. I didn't even have a business plan. Although I know on hindsight, if I had a business plan, I could have done better. But I had no money to start my business. But what I realized was that I had that drive, I had that passion, I had that motivation. So I started off selling the clothes I used to wear, because I kind of had a style for fashion. And when I go out, people say, "Oh, Kingsley, I like your shirt. Oh, well, it's for sale," right? And I end up selling those clothes, right? Take the small resources I make from those clothes, plow it back into the business, and that is how I started to grow and I built my capital. So you must be ready to work with whatever means you have at hand, right? An entrepreneurial leader is not scared. You must be able to work within your resources. Another tip I would say is seek expert opinion, right? Entrepreneurial leadership are quite unique in their own aspect, because beyond their first idea, they always try to seek the expert opinion of other people, right? Because this is an essential commodity for leaders or for an entrepreneurial leader. By seeking opinions, by seeking expert advice, you're able to identify opportunity. You should be able to invite others, right? And this, in a nutshell, creates that inclusive culture for continuous improvement, for continuous innovation. In Japan, they call it Kaizen, continuous improvement. So remember, an entrepreneurial leader keeps in mind that there are more ways than one best way, right? So you must be able to seek expert opinions. You should have the ability to step back right? And when people criticize your work or people offer contrary ideas, take it on board, take it on board and see how you can actually improve yourself. Another tip is you should be able to invest in your team, right? You must have a right set of people working with you. Try to enlist the right people, right? Try to focus on their improvements. Try to ensure that there's this rich collaboration that instills high performance, right? Try to be able to build trust and loyalty within your business, within your idea. There must be people who have the same mindset with you, towards the same mindset that is tailored towards meeting that set objective, right? So you must have that ability to build trust, loyalty, and engage with your subordinates. So ensure you enlist the right people that would work with you towards achieving a set goal. Think big, right? Is another step or another approach, another idea within that entrepreneurial mindset. Think big, imagine new possibilities, paint the picture of that possibility to your subordinates or people who work with you. Your ability to provide that vision of where you want to be or where you see yourself or where you see your business, it's quite important to your team, because with this mindset, the team understands where you want to go. And I think that's a very rich and underpinning component of being an entrepreneurial leader. Like I said again, always seek feedback, be flexible, try to hone your ability to adapt, right, within your context. Seek feedback from people, approach situations with a learning mindset. I think this enables you to take in new information and navigate shifting landscapes, right? I think a key approach to doing this is to consistently seek feedback from as many people. Sometimes I even seek feedback from my wife. I seek feedback from my kids sometimes. I always want to learn, right? And as again, when you get this input, you're able to build your vision for the future. Coming to do this video, I wore a red tie, and my son was like, "No, Dad, this red tie doesn't look good with your jacket. Why don't you wear a blue tie?" And I'm like, "Okay." He's only 6 years old, right? And I could have said, "Come on, what do you know?" But I took it on board, and I think it's the blue tie actually matches with the red tie. So, being an entrepreneurial leader, you must be able to accept feedback, approach situations with a learning mindset. And I think finally, I would say, take action, right? You must be able to take action. Entrepreneurial leaders are people who are proactive, they're able to take action, they move forward, right? They move to even unknown terrains, so they're ready to learn. While some don't actually embrace that ambiguity, most of them recognize that one of the simple ways to become a great leader is to take a step back, see what happens, adjust, learn faster. So I think that's all I have to say. But going back to that definition of entrepreneurial leadership, it's the ability to organize a group of people towards achieving a common goal. It involves utilizing proactive entrepreneurial behavior to take advantage of opportunities. Your ability to take personal responsibility and manage change within any dynamic environment for the benefits of your organization. I hope I've been able to provide some insight into entrepreneurial leadership. If you need further clarifications, you can see my email below. I'm happy to respond to any clarifications you may have. Thank you once again, and it's a pleasure to have been able to speak to you guys.